Mark tells the story, the gospel, from a point of grace, from a person who was hurt by his own choices, a person who was rejected, a person who was restored, a person who was made right with Jesus, a person who was then able to serve Jesus in such a way that he had never imagined before, because he came back, because he was restored, because someone like Barnabas came alongside to help him get on track again. Someone like Barnabas who saw the potential, who showed he cared, and grace compels you to tell the story of Jesus. It's your story that you're able to tell. People can't refute it if you tell it truthfully, of what your life was like before you came to Christ, how you came to Christ, what your life has been like since. Maybe times when you've fallen, times when you've fallen into sin and sought forgiveness and moved forward as we struggle in the Christian life. If you look at Romans chapter 7, you see how the Apostle Paul talks about this struggle to do what's right. And then Romans 8:1 says there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. So Mark chapter 1, verse 1, first thing that Mark writes is, this is the good news about Jesus the Messiah, the Son of God. It began just as the prophet Isaiah had written, look, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, and he will prepare your way. What if Mark had walked away and no one went back to get him? What if Mark had walked away and told he was no good and that he couldn't be used anymore because he made a mistake? What if Mark wasn't shown grace to be restored? What if Mark let failure define him? What if Mark didn't step up to God's purposes for his life? We wouldn't have the Gospel of Mark.